As fate would have it, on the first day of the riots, lease negotiations are announced for a proposed two-stadium complex on a huge chunk of Leeds real estate, just a long flyball away from the Blue River. In attendance is a drug salesman largely unknown until he stepped to the plate and bought for himself and for the city a new baseball franchise.
Everything he did with that team was as a community team, something that spoke for the people. It wasn't like it was Ewing Kauffman's team, like most franchises are nowadays. This was all those fans' team.
Ewing and Muriel McBrien Kauffman leave it to the fans to pick a team name. 17,000 entries come in, among them personal tributes like the Capsules and the Coffees. In a nod to a proud local tradition, the board chooses Royals. And just 1 year after the riots, the city enters a regal new era of baseball and self-belief. Later that same year, Marion Labs is listed on the New York Stock Exchange. In every sense of the word, Kauffman's life has gone public. A month after the Plaza flood, needing only one win at home in the final two games, the Royals lose both to the hated Yankees and blow a pennant that seemed destined to be theirs. Prime time is winding down. In the months to come, the city suffers a series of reversals nearly biblical in their drama and dimension. During the brutal winter that follows the flood, the historic Coates House burns and 20 lives are lost. That same winter, Arthur Bryant's, the Burg's best-loved barbecue joint, is itself reduced to burnt ends. In June of '79, while the nation's architects meet in nearby Bartle, the award-winning Kemper Arena loses its roof in a storm. Fortunately, the arena is empty and no lives are lost. Just face. Lots of it.
Kansas Cityans have a tendency of being a big family, and they kind of pull together. And they don't get excited, they don't panic, but they stick together, and whatever the problem is, they eventually solve it.
More cautious, perhaps, less brash, the Kansas City spirit lives on. In '85, Willie Wilson returns from exile, ready to play. The team, like the city, wiser for its trials, hangs tough after a rocky start, wins the division, and battles back to beat Toronto for the pennant, the final assist to Frank White. In the World Series, the Royals fall behind the Cardinals, again, 3-1.
I brought a book. I read my book in the back of I couldn't stand it or I paced. It was so nerve-wracking. It was awful. It was torture.
But again, they refuse to yield, win games 5 and 6, and play the 7th at home.
By the time that last game arrived, I think St. Louis was so psyched out, and we were so psyched up. Everybody knew the outcome of that last game before it was played. I mean, it was just destined.